You have to be pretty brave if you want to go self-employed. You have to be really savvy with money. You really do. You need to have as little debt as possible. You need to be able to set your business up at minimum expense. And if that means starting from home in your spare room or at your kitchen table, then so be it. When you're self-employed, you don't get things like company pensions, you don't get sick pay, you don't get holiday pay, and you don't get the minimum wage. I live a frugal existence, but I have no debts and more time for me. I don't have work stress and I get to do what I want. What could possibly be wrong with that? It also makes me more environmentally friendly. I use less water, I use less gas, I use less electric, I never throw food away, and I recycle as much plastic packaging as comes into my home as I possibly can. I reuse that as little plant pots, as storage, as things in the freezer. So I think I'm probably, carbon footprint wise, it's really, really low for me. One of the reasons I started this YouTube channel is that I wanted this year, 2023, to be a year of change. The last few years, as we all know, have been an absolute nightmare. 2020 was a write-off, pretty much. 2021 was halfway between being a write-off and getting back to normal, but things weren't getting back to normal. And last year, 2022, which in many ways has been normal, also hasn't been because of all the economical things. You've got the fallout from the pandemic, we've got the Ukraine war, we've got all the economic problems that have come with a very dysfunctional government, and they keep talking about us heading into a recession. But I can't just sit around for another year hoping that I'm just going to get through things. That's one of the problems. I've used it as an excuse to just kind of just sit around and say, well, it's not my fault that I'm not getting anything done. It's not my fault that I'm not earning enough. It's not my fault that some of the frugal things that I want to try aren't happening. I have to now start doing something about that. Doing the YouTube channel was a part of that, purely because I'm not a fan of social media, but my business is online, so I need to get better at it, and I need to make it more personal. People don't follow businesses on social media to look at products. They want to look at lifestyle, they want to see the people behind the business, and I'm very good at not putting myself on the camera. So that's one reason why I am now doing this, is because I want to get out of my comfort zone. I want to stop hiding behind the camera and do things like this. And thankfully I'm at an age now where I don't care what anyone thinks of me. It's as simple as that. So although I don't particularly like filming myself or taking photos, I'm not scared of it because I'm scared of what people will think of me. Because I don't care. I am what I am. I'm at an age now where I'm less fussed about public image. I don't care about things like being perfectly made up when I leave the house. I've managed to completely, just stop worrying about that. And yes, I know people who won't even open the door without full makeup, properly dressed, the lot, and that just bemuses me. And maybe that's a standard slip, or maybe that's just because that's me. I don't like being overdressed. I like to be comfortable, and that's very much a tactile thing. I like, soft layers, things like this. I like to be comfortable, and that's just it's the way I've always been. I've not always been able to do it, but that's the way I've always been. So I think it's more about me returning to what I really am, rather than what I think people think that I should be. Fine, sorted. But there are all sorts of things that I can change and should change, and I know that I've become way too complacent, because I found this fine line between only doing enough and getting by. I suppose it's a little bit like quiet quitting, except that's hard to do when you're a business of one and you are the business. But I've also reached that age where I don't want to have to do things for other people just because. I did that for 17 years, working in offices, constantly at other people's beck and call, long commutes, working ridiculous hours for not enough pay, skipping lunch breaks. I did all of that for 17 years, and I would never go back to it. I'd have to be so desperate for money to go back to an office environment. The toxicity and I don't even think it's changed that much. I mean, I've done a few office jobs, just short-term contracts, in the last 6 or 7 years, and nothing's changed. And I've tried other different work environments, and the people don't change. I did one back in 2020, which I only lasted, I think I lasted about 2 months. It was a retail job, but it was a volunteer job. I'd never done retail, and I thought, I'll give this a go and see what happens. And the thing that got me out of it was COVID. In March, when all the businesses shut down, I was so relieved, and I never went back. I couldn't wait to get out of it. It was just awful. And I just take people as they are. I don't like office politics. I don't like all the backstabbing, all that sort of thing. Anyway, so that's why I do what I do. But I also, have you ever heard of the 7-year itch? Well, I definitely get that. In fact, where I am now is the longest I've ever lived in one place. It's 8 years, and I can feel that maybe I'm starting to think about, I want to find somewhere new. I have moved around a lot. I've never found the place that I could imagine living in forever. And I don't know whether that's just because I'm looking in the wrong places, or whether because I am very independent and introverted that I just don't need that kind of community. And I find it very easy to just pick up and move somewhere new and just slot myself in. And I always have done. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. And I do like a change of scenery. I get bored. If I could pick up where I live now and move it somewhere else tomorrow, I would. I would just pick up and go. I have no reason to stay here. I have no ties here. I have no loyalty to here. So this year, I don't know if I'm going to end up completely moving. Usually when I move, fate takes a hand. Something comes along and produces a big shake-up. Usually in the past it's been the breakup of relationships, or a loss of job, or just wanting to change jobs or change direction career-wise, and I've just up sticks and moved. I don't have that at the moment because I'm now very much single. I am very much working from home. I'm very much only doing my own thing. However, there are still plenty of possibilities. I might lose this flat for who knows what reason, and I think I would struggle to stay here. Because of my self-employed status, I find it very difficult to get clearance for the finance for rents and things, even though I've got money. And I have been paying, rent, no problem, ever since, I've been paying rent. I've never ever defaulted on a rent payment in my life. So the whole system's up the creek, basically. So that's one of the reasons I hang on here, is because I think I would find it very hard to find somewhere new. I think the prices outside of where I am are going to be really high. Mine, I think, is artificially low because I'm in an ongoing contract and there's only so much they can raise the rent every year. Mine went up 10% last year. But in the previous 4 years I've lived here, it's never gone up. So I kind of thought, well, if they would normally, say, raise the rent 1.5% to 2% a year, that's probably worked out about the same. It just came at a really bad time when, 2020, end of 2022, price of everything was going up, and it's just like, oh, me and everybody else. So I didn't complain about it because, if I complain about it, what am I going to do? Leave? Landlord doesn't care, and I end up in the same situation of not having anywhere to live. So I'm hanging in here, and even if the rent goes up again at my renewal in October, I will probably still stay here because incrementally I think it will still be cheaper. But that all depends on how much mortgages and things go up. So I'm kind of in a bit of a balance at the moment. Not too sure what to do. I'm planning a car camping trip, hopefully for May. That gives me something to look forward to that's a bit different. I did one last year. That was my first one as an experiment, and really enjoyed it, and it's a little bit of exploration, just gets me out, so I'm going to give that a go because it doesn't break the bank. But I don't really know what else this year, apart from little incremental things like doing this channel and seeing where that leads. You never know. You never know who's watching. You never know what situations it's going to present to you. And I have to be more proactive to take those things on. So this is my little Saturday morning ramble. Just thinking about things and mulling things over. And I'm sure lots of us are in similar situations at the moment. I think this year's going to be an odd one, because it should be better than last year, and there's still lots of unknowns, lots of things that aren't clear, and I don't know. Everyone I know is booking holidays and making things to have something to look forward to. And I guess for most people that's normal life, but I don't normally operate like that. So we'll see. I don't know. I feel like I've rambled enough and that you're probably bored. I don't know whether these rambles, these chats work. I'm still trying to work on improving my very flat accent, and obviously not doing a very good job, that's for sure. But I think that these are things that, lots of us are thinking about, and if I can just get them out, that, at least it's not going round and round in my head. Okay, I've categorised it. It's down on camera. You know what I'm thinking. Now I can move on and start to do something about it. Maybe it'll make me more accountable, because I don't want in 6 months to be still having this conversation and nothing's changed, because this channel has got to get more interesting. It can't just be about cooking and buying yellow stickers and looking at the weather. It's got to be better than this. So maybe this holds me more accountable, that it'll get me out and get me doing more stuff. So maybe there's a means to an end there as well. So I think that'll do. I've rambled on enough. I'm off to go and make lunch. Yeah, it's almost lunchtime. And that has to be a good thing. So catch you soon. Bye.